Excuse me. Hey guys, it's Molly. Welcome back to my channel. It is now, as I'm filming this, April 30th, which means it's the last day of April, in case you didn't know. And I read a lot of books this month, and I'm really proud of myself. So it's time for me to share what I read, what I rated them, what I thought of them, and all of that good stuff. If you're new, I would really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button and gave this video a huge thumbs up and stayed to see everything that I have to say about these books. And without further ado, let's get started. So I tried something new. I got this journal, and what I did was I wrote April reads, and then I wrote the book and a little bit about the book and what I rated it. So I could kind of like look through this real quick, remember what I thought about it, so that I can talk about the books. I am going to look at this and talk to you about these. I did do pretty good at sticking to my TBR, and I actually read all the books that I said I was going to this month, and I also picked up a few others as well. I'm just going to start off with the first book, and that was The Roommate by Rosie Danan. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. I really loved that this book follows two, well, I mean the roommates obviously, but they end up working together on this project. I don't think it's a spoiler, but the project basically is about like normalizing like women's pleasure with sex. So I really appreciated that they touched on that. Like, it's not all about the guy, like how to please a woman in bed and stuff, pretty much. One thing that I hated about this book, which I don't think it's a spoiler either because it does talk about this in the back, is the main character, Clara, she's still pining over this one guy, and she's like throughout the book, and I'm just like,
girl, get over it. Like, he doesn't want you. It's not happening. Stick with your roommate, mans. Like, get over it.
So that's why I like knocked it down a star, just because it got really annoying, and I was like, girl, move on. Like, come on. But other than that, I really liked it. I loved the steamy scenes. They were really steamy, really good. And the main character, is the name Wheaton? No. I'm sorry, what's his name? Josh. He was really cute. Definitely one of my fave new book boyfriends. And yeah, I really loved this book. So it got 4 stars. Alright, moving on to a read that was not the best. And that is The Other People by CJ Tudor. I did not enjoy this book at all. I rated it 2 stars, which I'm kind of sad because it was my first CJ Tudor book ever. And I didn't really enjoy it. So the reason I gave this 2 stars was that there were a lot of things in the book that just like didn't make sense to me. And I don't know if it's just my pea brain that like wasn't absorbing the information correctly or something, but it just didn't make sense. And I wanted to know more about like the other people, like the name of the freaking book. Like, it only talks about it like briefly, and you don't really you don't get a lot of information out of it, so I wanted more information about that. And then there was like a magical aspect in the end that like I just didn't think needed to happen. Like, it just kind of like threw the book off, in my opinion. So I just didn't enjoy this book. I wouldn't recommend it, I don't think. I mean, I liked the premise and I thought it was gonna be very interesting, but it just wasn't it for me, so 2 stars. The next book that I read in April, I fell in love, and I knew that I was gonna love this book, and that is Shipped by Angie Hockman. Oh my gosh, guys. 5 stars. 5 incredible mother stars. Like, y'all, new favorite. When I said that I thought this was gonna be like a cross between The Unhoneymooners and The Hating Game, exactly what it is. Exactly what it is. So if you love those 2 books, you better pick this up because you will fall in freaking love. The 2 main characters were just chef's kiss. Their chemistry, amazing. The hate to love aspect, loved it. Oh my god. Graham Crawford Collins is another new favorite book boyfriend, and Henley is a badass bitch, okay? Like, she don't really need no man, but they work well together, and I loved it. And oh my god. Definitely recommend this book 5,000,000 times over and over again. So good. If you're like hesitant about picking this up, or like you just haven't gotten to it yet and it's just sitting on your TBR, you need to pick it up. Like, pick it up right now. It's so good. Alright, the next book that I read, I'm probably gonna have like some people hate on me for this, for the rating or for what I thought about it. That's The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I rated this only 3 stars. Let me just be honest, I did not see the hype in this book at all. I was actually quite annoyed a lot of the time when I was reading this. It really bothered me that Evelyn felt like the only reason that she was like famous was because she has like big boobs pretty much, and that's talked about a lot. Like, that is not a spoiler. It's not a spoiler at all, because it's talked about literally, like, that's pretty much what the whole book's kind of about. Like, that's all she talks about. Like, she's like, the only way I'm famous is because of this. The people only like me because of my boobs. Like, no. And I'm like,
girl, there's more to you than just your big yitties, okay? Like, move on.
And then the end where we, like, there's, like, that plot twist. I don't want to, like, spoil it, but that pissed me off. The way that she didn't tell somebody about what happened until years later. I don't know if I just spoiled it, but I didn't tell you what happened, but that just really irked me. So I'll give this 3 stars. I didn't see the hype. I don't know. I mean, I'm glad I got it off my TBR, so, but I would have been fine living my life without reading this pretty much. Then we have another fail for me this month, and that is Sundays at Tiffanys by James Patterson and Gabrielle Charbonnet, I don't really know how to say her name. Gave this 2 stars. It was my first James Patterson book, even though he's like, he writes like a lot of books, and I do have some more on my TBR. But, okay, so I gave this 2 stars, and basically what this is about is there's a girl that falls in love with her imaginary friend, and let me just tell you, I was creeped out kind of about that fact, because he literally was her imaginary friend when she was a child, and he was an adult when she was a child. And then, like, he goes away, and then they, like, find each other again somehow when she's older, and then they fall in love. And I'm like, did you think about those things about her when she was younger? Which he does kind of, like, touch on that a little bit. I don't know. So I gave it 2 stars. I would have given it 1, but I gave it 2 because it was a quick read. The chapters were really short, which I did appreciate. The romance was just very questionable. Again, there were a lot of questions that, like, weren't answered that I had, so meh. Didn't really like this. I did get this from a free little library though, so I'll probably just end up sticking it back in another one. Next, we have a reread, and still love the book. Still stan this book, and that's Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. Oh my god, so I really was like thinking about Pike lately, and I was like, man, I need to just reread Birthday Girl. So I did. I loved it again. 5 stars. The best freaking book. Penelope Douglas writes the best steamy scenes literally ever. Like, oh my god, I freaking love Penelope Douglas. And yeah, loved this book. So good. Pike is the best boyfriend. Jordan is a badass bitch too. Like, love it. And if you don't know what Birthday Girl is about, it's a forbidden taboo romance between a girl and her boyfriend's dad. There's no cheating though, because the two don't start like a relationship until she's broken up with her boyfriend. So, but it's just taboo because it's like her ex-boyfriend's dad, you know what I mean? So anyway, such a good book. If you haven't read it, please pick it up. It's so good, and I will reread this like all the time. It has to be reread at least once a year because it's just so good. The next book I read this month was Quarantine by Lex Thomas. This is book 1. It follows the loners. I rated this 3.5 stars. I actually kind of enjoyed it. I love that this is basically about just high school kids who have to learn how to survive without adults, because they are all plagued with this sickness that makes them, like, if they're around adults, the adults get violently sick and then just die like in seconds of being near these kids. They're all trapped in their high school by themselves, and then gangs start forming and they just have to survive pretty much. I love that. I love survival books and like end of the world type books, which is like scary because like it scares me, but I love like reading those things. So I really enjoyed this. Some scenes were a little gruesome, like there's some violent scenes, and I will just put it out there that they were very graphic and detailed, some of them. And they weren't even like big like gruesome scenes, but just very detailed. So I will mention that. And there are mentions of rape, so those are some trigger warnings for this book before you get into it. But I do want to read, I think there's 3 or 4 more books in the series. So I do want to continue it because it does end on a cliffhanger. And I really want to know what happens. So I already ordered the second book. So yeah. I did really enjoy this book. 3.5 stars. The reason I gave it 3.5 stars instead of like 4 or like even 5 is just because sometimes I felt like it was straying a bit and just stringing along and talking too much about things that didn't really matter. But other than that, it was a good book. Let me tell you, I finally picked up Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. And I don't know why I waited so long to have this on my TBR. Like, it was been sitting on my shelf for so long and I don't know why. Like, I'm literally an idiot. 4.5 stars. Loved this book. First of all, the only reason I gave it 4.5 is because it ends on a cliffhanger. And I hated that. I hated that so bad because I want to know what happened with freaking Charlie and Nick. Okay? I want to know what happened right then. So that's why I knocked it down 1/2 star. Other than that, it would have been 5 stars. Like, if they, you know, told you what happened, I would have given it 5 stars. But then I was thinking, you know, if they tell you what happens and there won't be a second book. Anyway, I gave it 4.5 stars. But I always love this so much. It literally took me like a half hour to read it because, like, it's literally just a graphic novel. So there's like 5 words to a page. So good. The illustrations were amazing. The relationship, amazing. Chef's kiss. I bought the 2nd and 3rd book already, and I'm waiting for them to come here so that I can read those too. Oh my god. Oh my god. If you haven't read this, you need to read it like literally yesterday. And then the last book I read this month was another disappointment, and that is Unteachable by Leah Rader. I'm so sad. So sad. I really wanted to enjoy this book because I love student-teacher romances, and this was just not it for me. I gave it 3 stars. So like I said, I enjoyed the fact that it was a teacher-student romance. I love taboo romances. I did feel like it was a little hard to follow at times though, and it's just the writing style, honestly. I'm not used to this kind of writing style, so that's why. It was very like philosophical, I feel. Like the main character, what even was her name? Maze. She's just very like philosophical for her age, I guess. She's only 18. And that's another thing. It's a taboo romance, but she is legal. Like, she's 18. So it's not, like, legal. Yeah, it does have a happy ending, so that's good. But I just, I don't think I'll ever reread this. Just wasn't good. If you want a good student-teacher romance, I would definitely read Loving Mr. Daniels by Brittany C. Cherry. That was really good. But this one was just kind of a bummer for me, and I'm kind of sad because I've heard good things about this book, and it just didn't, like, follow up to those expectations that I had. So yeah, I mean, maybe someday I'll give it a reread and see if like I just missed it and my brain just like wasn't right or something. But at the time I first read it, I gave it 3 stars, so what can you do? So those are all the books that I read. So happy that I got to everything that was on my TBR and then a couple books on top of that too. So I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books in the month of April, which is good because in March I think you only read 6 or something. So if it was 6, I read 3 more than March. So badass bitch over here. So that is everything that I have for you all today. I really hope that you enjoyed, and if you did, please make sure to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more bookish content from me. I'm really excited to keep growing my channel and doing more book content because I love reading so much. So stay tuned. I plan on doing like vlogs and reading vlogs and just a lot more book stuff. I have a lot planned. I just need to hunker down and get her done. But that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you all enjoyed. I love you all so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys!